We are just so excited to always have Greg with us every week. And I had asked if Gwen, and Gwen, I'm going to ask you to unmute your microphone, Gwen, if you would not mind sharing the experience that you had with Soul Naturals products and how it has changed your life. So Gwen, if you are listening, can you open your mic, please? And if I don't get a quick response.
I didn't know how to open the mic, but I figured it out. Okay, now I've got it. I'm on my phone.
Oh,
and you know I'm challenged with technology, but I'm gonna figure it out. Hold on 1 minute. Let's see. Let me go back here. Okay. All right.
okay, Gwen, I see you and I hear you. So would you share your quick testimonial on how Soul has changed, how Soul products have changed your life? And then we'll turn the time over to Greg.
Okay, thank you. Well, when I started taking the Soul products, what I noticed was that my digestion got better because I had been burping a lot. I don't know what was causing the burping. It just came on like all of a sudden. And then when I started taking the first month of the products, the burping stopped. And recently, I'm in the 3rd month now. Oh my gosh. It is such a wonderful cleanse that you have with this month. I'm really starting, I get up in the morning and my stomach is flat and I feel that I'm really losing a lot of the waste that had accumulated in my colon. So I am very excited about that. I can't hear you.
Yep, that's absolutely awesome, Gwen, and it's perfect. And we know that Soul can change lives by just doing the simple things that we don't expect, right? Like you said, waking up with a flatter stomach, feeling renewed, feeling rejuvenated. And what I love that you are on the 3rd month of the program, and I love that because in the 3rd month, you are doing a cleanse that helps to address parasites and pathogens and all the things that cloud up the mind and the body. And that's
yes.
why I feel so rejuvenated. Well, to talk to us about one product that I absolutely love and has multiple uses. I think many of you have used and tried and recognize ReNūe as being a product that pretty much helps the body relax, right? Because you know it's blue, it's in the calm category. But when I think of calm, I don't think of anything that subdues me. I think of something that helps me modulate my energy. And so it helps bring a little calm to the organs that have been overactive and overstimulated due to things like parasites and poor eating and other things. And I love that ReNūe is one of our 4 foundational drinks at the company. And no one can tell you better than our founder and president why this product is so underrated. I think most people don't understand the multiple uses of ReNūe. And so to talk to us about that product today is Greg Halliday, our founder and president and CEO of Soul Naturals. Welcome, Greg.
Thank you, Debbie. And thanks, Gwen, for sharing. Yeah, those little things like the burping stops, the stomach inflammation goes down. They're the game changers, aren't they? We've all learned that over the years. They're the game changers. The body can start to work on things it couldn't work on because it doesn't have to fight that all the time. I'd like to start our talk about ReNūe today with a story. This is, I want to give you a timeline. Debbie, do you remember when, because ReNūe was the final of the 4 signature drinks. What year was ReNūe?
That was about, let's see, this is my 8th year with Soul. So I'm thinking that was about 6 years ago.
Okay, maybe 2 to 3 years into it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a year after ReNūe had been introduced, I was up in Michigan, and one of our just great, sweet leaders, Anita Carpenter, Debbie knows Anita, she had been helping one of the a soul specialist who operated a chiropractic clinic young chiropractor, really so intuitive and really sharp. And she was just getting familiar with the Solle products. And because she was kind of close to where we were doing more major training, we would stop by afterwards. And I did like, I think one class with them on some of the products. Well, the next time I was out there, it was maybe 6 months later, same thing. And as I stopped by to say hi, there was a young mother, I want to say late 20s, and her mother they came and they said, we're here because we wanted to meet the founder of this company, and we want you to know about our story. And so this young mother was telling me that she, from her mid-teens, could not sleep. Severe anxiety, stress, several things. And part of it was she could not sleep. And she said, it might have even been age 13. It was really early in her teens. I remember her telling us that she could never remember sleeping more than 2 hours her whole life since she hit this age. And she had been on she named them off, listed off all the prescriptions. And then she listed off a bunch of natural. They knew their herbs. They had been around the herbal block. And she said, once in a while, I found something that helped some, both on the prescription side, the medical side, and on the natural side. But I was always waiting for the other shoe to drop, because it would work for a little bit of time and then it wouldn't work. Everything she had tried for years and years. When I met her, her mother had been taking care of her kids for 2 to 3 years. She could not even function. She had 2 children. I believe they were both daughters, and she couldn't even watch them. And I can't remember, she might have been separated from her husband at the time, not for reasons that she thought were worth that. Like, she just couldn't be there. She couldn't be herself. Like, I just didn't feel like there was animosity, but I didn't really obviously ask about that. So why did she come and see us? Well, she happened to come in the chiropractic clinic for an adjustment and mentioned her life of no sleep. So this young chiropractor said, something I just learned about, we had just done the class. She gave her a few packets of ReNue. It was like 4 p.m. She took a packet. She went home I think she was at her mother's house at this point, took a packet. She said, I woke up at like 3 a.m. So what is that? It was something like 7 hours, or no, longer than that, right? And she said that had never happened. She goes, not since I was 13. And so she was, so what is in this? What drugs have you put in here? None, not a single one. But there are several adaptogens in there. And then there are lots of other calming herbs that I know everybody on this class already knows loads about, probably more than I do. So the reason that they came is because she said, I can't remember how many packets the chiropractor gave her. It was a small amount. And so she called her immediately, talked to her about it. Chiropractor said, look, I'm new with these products as well. That's wonderful. That's what it's supposed to do. So in her case, it really was that, but that's because she wasn't getting any. Again, being adaptogenic, what the body needed to balance. Those are the pathways, the doorways that the product opened for her, allowing it to happen. Those natural processes. That's how I look at it. So she says, I started using them, and it wasn't always as long, like this big, huge, long, whatever it was, 8 or 9 hour thing. But they were always like 5, 6 hours instead of 2, longer stretches where she actually was able to start to get some rest. So she said, my biggest fear after a week was my body's going to at some point push back. It's not going to work. That never happened. And that's why she came 6 months later with her mom. She said, we came here to learn about what other products you have, because this is the only one that has kept working, and it's changed my whole life. I feel like I can be a mother to my kids again, et cetera. I just share that story with you because I got to see her face. And, she had the face of someone, the way I would describe it to you is somebody that has hope again, that's really honestly looking for things, has lots of good people helping her, just hasn't been able to find whatever it was she was lacking. And ReNue was the last of the 4 signature drinks. So some of the things in ReNue we'd been looking at for years. I will tell you, one of the ingredients in ReNue I looked at personally before we ever started our very first product, and it was planned to be part of Soul Vital. But it's funny how things work out sometimes for the best, right? The only reason it wasn't this is one of the adaptogens that was going to be part of the group of Vital, was because at that time it was such a unique and unfamiliar one. There wasn't a reliable supply that we felt we could count on the quality of the concentration that we wanted at any time. And so it came along later, and I'll tell you about that now as we jump into some slides, which ingredient that was. But I actually believe it goes better. It goes better with the group in ReNue, and is one of the reasons. ReNue is what Debbie said. If I would just leave two thoughts with you today, I think most of you have used it now, so you're quite familiar with the product, I'm guessing already. But it is loaded with things to help relax and calm muscles, and relax and calm our mind. It is calming and centering, and in that sense, invigorating for people, invigorating the restorative processes, digestion and reparations, that the body just does naturally when we get the little breaks, the rests that we need, sleep at night, and maybe some, finding a time in all your wonderful helping of others, a little block of time for you to rest and recharge a little. Those are important, we've learned, right? Because the body uses them and needs them to keep everything in a manageable level. ReNue's as much about that as it is about sleep. It's as much. In fact, that might be the bigger issue, but I don't know. It's hard to say. They're both equal. And so it's equally good in the middle of the day. And we've had a certain percentage of people, I don't know, I'll tell you maybe 10 to 15%. They take it and go, yeah, this gives me energy. Why is it in the blue group? Because I take it and I feel energy. Because for people that their energy is sucked by anxiety, restlessness, it can be very energizing because it helps reduce that, manage that, so they feel good and they want to go to work. And that's okay. I've heard some really good counsel from a couple leaders where if you're among those who tries it at night, because I love it, a half hour before bed is a hot tea. If you haven't tried it, try it, hot tea, 20 minutes, half hour before you want to go to bed, and add a little bit of either almond milk or coconut milk, like a creamer. We call it the dreamsicle. Tastes like an orange creamy because of the citrus in it. And also you get this coconut milk. It's actually really tasty. And it's a wonderful wind down. But if you're one of those that you take it and then you get mad at me, or hopefully you get mad at Debbie, not at me, and you, wait a minute, I took this and I was like up cleaning for 3 hours or up on my computer doing work, that's okay. That's maybe 10 or 15%. I would just say, not by study, but by experience of people. And it's a really easy solution. Take it in the morning and do that until you taking it in the morning, or say midday, until then it's making you tired and more relaxed back then move it to night. I'm not saying it'll work that way for everybody, but I've heard that work quite well for a lot of people. There are a lot of ways to look at that, and it all depends on your personal situation. But ReNue it has the benefit of really capturing a lot of several years of us using the products and starting to understand even in a deeper level, adaptogen combining and adaptogen combinations. So I think that it's a little, it's every bit as powerful and life-changing as Soul Vital or Cinemate or a Soul Excel. And sometimes it gets just pigeonholed into, oh, that's my calming to sleepy. And oh man, it's so much more than that. So if we look at the ingredients real fast, big long list, right? And I think everybody here, tell me, are any of those new? If you're looking at this list, is there any one that you go, I've never heard of that one? Usually people, Yuzu sometimes is a new one. It was new to me. That was Dr. Allison who brought that to Soul. And the adaptogen I was referencing that originally was slated for Soul Vital is marl root. So that's Rhaponticum. And that's another one you don't find very frequently. Grows in Siberia. It's really amazing. And I'll tell you a little bit about it today if you haven't had a chance yet. So Yuzu, I'm going to jump a little. This is a longer presentation of Dr. Allison, okay? It is very popular in cooking and in foods. It's quite good tasting. It's a natural hybrid, insect caused. They estimate a couple thousand years ago. And it's actually more than just grapefruit, mandarin orange, and lime is what I've heard. There's some debate over, but I've heard most frequently 3 citrus fruits. You kind of have Yuzu kind of as a hybrid of those 3 many years ago caused by insects. And what they found now is it's quite adaptogenic. Lots of compounds like adaptogens, compounds that both stimulate and calm. It helps with endocrine stress. It helps change metabolism. That's a big red flag that it might be adaptogenic. Skin irritations. It's actually good topically as well. It's a wonderful antioxidant. In fact, I think Japan, boy, Dr. Allison's going to have to correct me. Do you remember, Deb? I think it was Japan.
It is Japan.
Okay. They take these Yuzu baths. Just plop about 200 of your favorite fruit in the hot tub with you. And you have this wonderful, calming, relaxing bath. Really high in vitamin C. It has lots of polyphenols in it. One of them in particular was studied to lower endocrine stress, expressly in women. And so the essential oil from this, and it's a popular essential oil as well. Well, we combined in ReNūe the fruit and these oils from the rind of Yuzu. Both of them are in there because they have important compounds. So here are a couple of examples of some of the active components, the polyphenols in them. One of them is called hesperetin and naringenin, and I'm not sure I'm even saying that right, but you can see them there on the list, right? Look at the various things they've found in studies that these polyphenols are known to do for us. So Yuzu's quite interesting. It's quite loaded. It is a key ingredient. You know that it's also in our Calm essential oil blend, right? Yuzu, you also find the pure essential oil as part of that Calm. So what do these polyphenols do? Lots of good things. Lots of blood strengthening activities with blood fats. And look at these other benefits of the other polyphenol: antifungal, antibacterial, antispasmodic, protects the liver, helps heal up fixed digestive system. It's one of the key parts in what Gwen is experiencing, I believe. It's a wonderful pulling down inflammation and healing digestive tract. Sometimes when we're out of Vertizymes, which is super rare, we always have a couple bottles in our house, I've used ReNūe, just drink a ReNūe to help with digestive discomfort, and it's quite effective. I'm jumping a little, okay, because this is more about Yuzu and blood sugar management. They got studies that show that as well. It has malic acid in it, so it's going to relax muscles. And look at this, a study with Alzheimer's and the plaques that form. So this is all Yuzu. Yuzu is really quite an interesting ingredient. Now, here's the adaptogen that I think is one of the champion unknown adaptogens. It's really kind of a pretty flower, grows very far north. What, in a nutshell, it does, I would say, 2 greatest strengths. It is amazing at dealing with emotional mood swings, okay, just mood issues, mood imbalances, that's the word I was looking for, of every kind. We have a lot of labels over here with all our science. Pick the label you want that has to do with mood. This is something that is a balancer. But it also, on the flip side, is shown to accelerate our recovery. The body's always trying to fix wounds or damage or anything that takes the normal processes out of balance, right? I believe that. And so Rhaponticum, the way the scientists, at least as the history goes, first noticed it is they saw the deer in this area of Siberia, or caribou. I'm trying to think of what they were, but I think it was a deer, just a species of deer. When the females would have a fawn, immediately they started eating the roots of Rhaponticum, marl root. The common name is marl root. A lot of extra of that. And the males, when they'd fight in rutting season and they'd wound one another, they'd go for this root. Okay, so it appears to accelerate the body's recuperative process, the body's restorative, reparative, all of those. So I look at it this way. If you're looking for that in stressful time, or if that's its activity in times of crisis or urgent need, what's it also doing on a daily basis if I have this as part of it? Because it's an adaptogen, it's a very safe for daily use, safe in whatever quantities you need. To be an adaptogen, it has to be in that category of Chinese herbal philosophy, which is, they call them, what's the word they call them? There's a certain word for herbs that are safe for daily use. It's like their premier classification. Just the opposite of us in the West, where the more potent it is and you better be careful with it, we somehow value it higher. It's just the opposite. So this is a good one for those processes that are part of longevity. When we can repair and restore every day, we do a lot better. So there are several studies here that Dr. Allison shows. Here's one that I like to always show you. These, I think, were more severe depression. But what's amazing about it, they were taking this Rhaponticum, what does it say, 4 to 5 times a day, I think, here on the slide. And it was only in 2 months period of time, 3/4 of the individuals said no symptoms, no depression, which is pretty amazing. But not so much so when you go and look and see what it's doing inside. Things that aren't working right. I just feel like all of those emotional struggles are tied to physical imbalances that we just have to work on, right? So yeah, because the Russians discovered this. They look for things for their athletes to give them an edge in the Olympics, to kind of prove that their system was better. And so yes, clearly it helps muscle building because it just helps repair. That's what muscle building is. You tear them and they build them back. The body builds them back stronger. So that's what it's going to do in all tissue when it's given a chance. Even metabolic syndrome was improved with the use of Rhaponticum. So those are the two. Now, those first 2 ingredients, Yuzu and Rhaponticum, are the 2 biggies. They're the 2 biggies in the formula in terms of quantity, but there's still a full dose quantity of all these other. Lemon balm, I think we're all familiar with. I had to remind myself, lemon balm is one of those that helps nerve growth. So when we think about repairing and trauma and damage that can happen, lemon balm's, it's not just about calming, helping us sleep in case that's our issue and improving anxiety, but it's also about nerve growth. That's why it improves concentration. That's why there are positive studies with Alzheimer's and several types of dementia. It addresses those issues and helps nerve growth, stimulate nerve growth. That was something I'd kind of forgotten over the years. Wood betony. Now you're up to our 3rd adaptogen in here. No. Well, that's if Yuzu is one. We'll see about Yuzu. It's probable. But for sure, wood betony, absolutely. It's the famous one, right, from Europe that the Romans used to say, sell your jacket and buy wood betony. And in Spain, a very famous saying is, she has more virtues than wood betony. It's not so famous here, and I don't know why. Well, maybe we all know why. But I look at it as anything and everything for the head, for mood, for brain. I've heard that there are experiences and studies even from like ear infection to all sorts of imbalances that people describe as being centered in the head. It is a nervine. And wood betony is in Vertizymes, remember, as well. So you get a good dose here. You get a good dose in Vertizymes. Debbie said this yesterday, but Vertizymes together with ReNue is an amazing combination. For everything we're talking about today, you combine those 2 and even better. It's just a no-brainer, like a capsule or 2. of Vertizymes. If you're really working on something therapeutic, okay, it's a no-brainer to combine those two. Passion flower, it was always in this formula, and then years later we added passion fruit as well. So I think you saw that on the first slide. But passion flower, I think we're all familiar with this. One of my favorite studies was, does everyone remember Verlin Richardson at Sunshine all those years ago? I think a lot of people know. I don't necessarily name companies a ton, but Verlin was a sweet individual who, her first experience with herbs was she had a little class and she said this, she says, I said this prayer that if I'm supposed to get involved in this, then let's, help me have results. And she had these crazy good results from her very first class. And that's what got her interested in herbs. And they ended up opening a shop and people came in. And one time they had a new employee and a couple came in. I can't remember if it was the wife or wife to be wanted something for their honeymoon so that they could have a fun and productive honeymoon. And she saw passion flowers sitting on the shelf. So she bought a bottle, and this new employee didn't know a lot to just, okay, here you go. And then I guess the story that Vernon tells is they came back after the honeymoon and they were not happy because apparently he kept falling asleep. And I do know some people who are extra sensitive to passion flower, absolutely. But this is the way I would put it, because Debbie mentioned this earlier. If they're not getting enough sleep, the person who's clearly not getting enough, you drink ReNūe and it has a good dose of passion flower, then could happen because you're not getting, your body wants to balance and that you're giving it something that says, here, go balance, okay. But if you are getting enough sleep, you don't need to worry. It doesn't, I've used this tons in the middle of the day and never once makes me sleepy because it just takes away anxiety and other things. It helps the body do what it's supposed to do in the whole parasympathetic part, which is it's stimulating digestion and fixing and repairing things, right? So passion flower is an awesome one. Look at all the things, we already know this. I won't spend too much time because I know you know this probably better than I do. All the things that passion flower does. Big list of things, isn't it, on that slide? Now here's the next adaptogen. What are we up to, 3 or 4? Schizandra, which is in Solvital. We use the berry. And reminder, this particular adaptogen has great effect on neurotransmitters. So when you know that the issues that they're dealing with are connected with this, that's another reason why ReNūe is so great for the nervous system too. It's a builder, but it's a balancer. Lots of studies. Here's one study that Dr. Allison included. We already know this, don't we? If you get exposed to high stress and we don't deal with it, it shouldn't surprise anybody about abnormal tissue. That just shouldn't be a big surprise. Body has ways of dealing with these things unless you're overwhelming it. And Schizandra is one of many adaptogens where they've shown if you take this while you're going through that, the markers stay low and that abnormal tissue doesn't develop. So it's a great preventative in that way. Motherwort, another one that we've loved over the years, right? Motherwort, a lot of the studies Allison quoted seem to be related to blood, your blood pressure, your heart, health of the heart. Because these are the studies tended to cluster around that when depression resulted in hypertensive. Here's one about heart palpitations, a lot more common today than, I don't know. To be honest, I don't know if they're more common today than in the past. It would seem that way. We're either talking about it a lot more, people are more open about it, or they are with the busy, stressful lifestyle. But Motherwort, antispasmodic as well. And this is something that's found its way into several official medical journals in many countries, Motherwort for this area. And then chamomile. Chamomile, we know it calms, it makes wonderful tea. And you can taste a little bit of the chamomile. The Yuzu is pretty strong, but in ReNūe. So it's hard to taste the chamomile over the Yuzu, but there's quite a bit of chamomile in here and all the good digestive healing that chamomile does as well, and inflammation and allergies. So now there was little more of the presentation where she dealt with ADD, ADHD, et cetera. I'm not gonna go to that just for time today, but ReNūe, I hope when we look at ReNūe, we see it kind of down two broad pathways as a great way to help bring calm to whatever is overactive and needs calming. Just keep thinking of it simply like that is right on the money with this product, but also thinking of it as a stimulation for repair, as a energy toward recuperation, rejuvenation, repair. That's why the box says reset, relax, restore. Those three words on the little box that Debbie showed, because it is equally great at that. In fact, really, it's just pointing out the fact that that only really happens when the body has a state of rest, and it can fix itself. I'm a strong believer that body and mind, we were created looking for that balance as long as we get the right nutrition in us and an opportunity, a chance to do it right. So, Debbie, back to you. Hopefully that will.
Thanks, Greg. That was awesome. Awesome explanation. I see that Juanita put a message in the chat. She has used the ReNūe for her son who has ADHD, as did I with my nephews as soon as that product came out. 6 years ago, it was something that I had used for my nephews, who one was suffering from ADHD and the other one was diagnosed medically as being autistic, and he was severely autistic. And now if you see this child 6 years later after having used these products for a long time, I mean, I could tell you very briefly, his testimony was that 3 weeks into using the program that I had given him back then, we didn't have this whole program available, but 3 weeks after using it, he was no longer flapping and crying and screaming or organizing. He had OCD really bad, which is very common with children who are autistic. He could not play with his toys unless they were lined up by color and size. And so he stopped doing that after 3 weeks. His older brother, who had ADHD, his teacher noticed after 3 weeks and said, wow, he wrote a note, my nephew was severely depressed. He didn't want to go to school because the teacher kept putting bad notes in his notebook every day about his behavior and such. And so 3 weeks into using this program, the older brother, who was diagnosed as ADHD, started getting notes from the teacher saying the medication is really working. She didn't know it was not medication. It was this and the omegas and some other products that they were using at the time. So really, they were taking them during the day and also at night. So they would get a good night's sleep, but during the day they were calm, focused, and relaxed. At school, I love, Greg, that you have included adaptogens in this product because it really helps. Like you said, I know that Lon's wife is a person who does not drink this at night because she's the one that gets energy and cleans until 3 o'clock in the morning. Why? Because her body obviously sleeps well enough. And so she doesn't need it to sleep, but it helps. It's like catnip for cats, right? They sniff it and then they release all their energy and then they're able to relax. That's how you use this product. And so I love that in yesterday's discussion in the Spanish webinar, we talked about how it helps to modulate energy, and it's also a wonderful digestive. And so when we look at it in our programs, for instance, in the first month in the initial balance, you'll see that all 4 drinks are in there, including the enzymes, the probiotic, the Solflex PI, and the omegas. And when you look at it this way in a whole program, a holistic approach to increasing body energy and mind focus and balance in the body, these programs make much more sense, don't they?
Yeah, and Debbie, can I just say, sorry to jump in,
Nope,
but if you want to, but when it comes to those 4 drinks, because you mentioned that it's in all of the months, isn't it, of the program?
In all of the months except for the 3rd month, where you only have the in the
Vitamin.
3rd month you have the
Vitamin Cinematic.
Soul Vital and the Cinemate, but this is where you add the fiber. So you
because you're doing
the 2nd month, but in the 3rd month you're only doing the 2 drinks. And, and in the 4th month you have
you're back to it.
ReNūe again with the Cinemate.
Okay,
So,
so it's in 3 of the 4 ReNues. But here's the thing, if you really want to get me tongue-tied, when someone comes new into using the products, these signature drinks, ask me what time of day you should take them. Because to me, part of the commitment to whatever you're working on is health, finding the timing for you. We have the protocols and they're awesome. They give you like You don't have to figure it out from scratch because there's a good protocol that works for most people. But you just have to keep in mind, would you agree, Deb, that you try it that way first? But then you need to find the difference. I'm one of those that likes to experiment with different times of day.
Me too.
I just do. I can take a cinnamate right before bedtime. Sometimes, you know.
Not all the time.
Yeah. And so, but I like to experiment because it tells me about what's going on in my body too. And I think everybody, the drinks are all about that, is know what times, and sometimes just changing when you take them brings some different things.
Or changing the temperature of the water.
Yeah. Or hot versus cold.
Right. So for me, and we'll end on this note because I know you probably have another webinar to jump on, and we've gone past our half hour. But I do want to thank everyone for being on, and I especially thank Greg for his information. I am a person who in the early afternoon around 2 p.m. I will take a packet of ReNūe with a packet of Soul Vital, because my body needs, my brain by then is just a little going out of control and a million other things. I need to cook, I need to finish a webinar, I need to do whatever. I will take this. I don't feel sleepy. It just helps me focus very much. And I think the balance of the minerals in the Soul Vital, my body really likes. And so I tend to have a lot of pain in my joints at night. And if I do that during the day and then take another packet of this by itself at nighttime, then I sleep like a log, but I wake up the next morning with no inflammation and no stiffness in my joints. So what Greg is saying is completely correct. There is no incorrect way of using Soul Naturals because of the adaptogens. And because of the adaptogens, there is no correct way to do it, right? So like Greg said, the protocols are there. They work for most people on that timetable, but only you know what works best in your body. Okay, so you will find days where you will want to drink this twice a day with a Vital and a Cinnamate, or all 4 drinks, but you may have a day where you require this during the day and not at nighttime. So just be very aware. I always tell my customers and clients, try it for a week by itself at different times, write down what you felt. How easy was it for you to fall asleep? How long did you sleep? If you woke up in the middle of the night, were you able to fall back asleep and sleep through? All of those things are important, and they will help you know when it's right for you to use the product. I thank Gwen for that wonderful testimonial. I thank Juanita for sharing her testimonial about her son with ADHD. Happy to see all of your smiling faces. I look forward to seeing you next week. And please don't forget, register for your Inside Soul, because you won't want to miss next week. We are launching a surprise, and I don't want anyone to miss it. There will be a new product announced. I have no other information. Please don't text and ask what it's good for. Enjoy the surprise. We look forward to seeing you next week on this webinar, but we also look forward to hearing you on Inside Soul. Chat in so that we know you're there, because they do give away prizes when you chat in. So we love you guys. Thanks so much for participating every week. Bye-bye, everybody. Have a great rest of your week.